you want your videos to look like this. These are the best settings for POV surfing, slow motion barrels, shore break, whatever you want to film in your GoPro. Personally, I have the Hero 11 Black, absolutely great GoPro. These are the general settings that you'll want to have for the highest quality of filming and audio in the water. And later we'll get the specifics of if you're doing shore break, POV mouth surfing, whatever you want to do. Alright, so getting started. To get to settings, you want to press the bottom middle button and then click the little pencil icon. The first setting, resolution and FPS. This depends on what you're trying to shoot. I say 2.7K at 60 FPS if you're doing anything. You do not want slow motion. I would recommend 2.7K at 60 FPS. And the 2.7K is just a good quality for any type of video you're doing, whether you're doing YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, whatever you want to do. It's good. But if you want a more cinematic look, you can do 5.3K, 4K, and obviously this will take more space, but it'll have a more cinematic look. Alright, next setting is the lens. You're going to want to do super view if you're doing any type of mouth surfing, POV. It's honestly just the best view for any type of angle you're trying to do. Unless you're doing shore break, you might be able to get away with doing a wide angle lens. Wide angle, we'll see less, but might be more realistic to the eye. Hyper smooth, you always want to be on boost. It looks more cinematic, more stabilized. It's always good. Scheduled capture off. Duration no limit, hindsight off, timer off, zoom 1.0. 10 bits in Pro Tune. So obviously you're going to want 10 bits. If it is applicable to bitrate, you always want on high. Shutter, you want on auto. EV comp 0, white balance auto. ISO min and ISO max. My min is at 100, max 400. Honestly, you should always be keeping it at like around 100. Because the less ISO, the less noise you're going to get and the higher quality film you're going to get. Sharpness, I put on low always because GoPro can have this over sharpened look about it. And I like to sharpen it in post anyways, but it's honestly your choice. Raw audio. I have it off. I haven't messed with that setting particularly because audio is kind of a problem in the water. It's not going to be high quality. Wind, you always want off in the water. When you turn it on, sometimes it can be weird and cut off noise. And that should be everything for the Pro Tune settings. Next up, batteries. Obviously, your GoPro comes with a battery, and here's some things you can do to keep that battery life up. Obviously, shoot in less resolution, more battery time. Also, I like swiping down, and you'll see these settings. You can do quick capture. If you're worried about your battery, quick capture is good, because you can turn your GoPro on and off every time you film a clip. If you're not doing like side-by-side clips, if it's consistent waves, whatever it is. Screen lock you always want on. You want to lock your screen so water doesn't randomly press buttons. I've had some strange things happen to my GoPro, mess up settings. Always have that locked or else you will get no useful footage. Now for front screen options, I always click the button off. I don't use the front screen and it wastes battery. And orientation locked. You want this orientation locked when you're in the water so you don't have to constantly flip the footage of what you're doing. And I like to have the beep on just so I know if I'm recording or not, because I've had some moments where I thought I was recording, it wasn't, got an awesome wave, and it's just all gone. For storage, the GoPro uses a micro SD card. For the SD card, I recommend 256 gigabytes because you'll have endless amount of space, and it's very rare that you would even fill it up. Even filming in 5.3K, I couldn't even get close to filling it up in the time I had. Your battery will always die first. Alright, if you're doing the mouth mount, you're obviously going to have, here's the mouth mount, it's the orange floaty, the little screw thingies that go into the GoPro bottom, and then the mouth mount. For the mouth mount, you're obviously going to want screen lock and orientation locked to the angle that you put it in because it goes in your mouth like this, so the GoPro footage is going to be like this. And this is my leash system. I highly recommend a leash. This floaty's big, it'll get ripped out of your mouth in any sort of weird waves, even small waves. Of course, you'll get used to it and get better at not losing it, but a leash is definitely recommended. If you're doing really slow at 240 FPS, you're obviously going to want to do that at 2.7K. And if you just want to do normal slow-mo at 120, you can get higher quality like 4K, which will look good, but you might not be able to slow it down insanely slow. When you're using the mouth mount, depending on what type of surfing you're doing, you're going to want to tilt it in different ways. So if you're kind of doing all around in super view, you're going to want to have your GoPro kind of flat as you kind of get the whole field of view. It may not see your board, and it may not see the top of your head, but it'll get the gist of the wave. Now, if you're doing barrels, it's very important that you tilt the GoPro up like this. So when it's in your mouth, it's facing up, and you can really see that lip curl over your head. Because I've had times where I get absolutely pitted, and my GoPro will be facing kind of flat, and it looks like I'm kind of in the pocket, but I'm actually pretty deep. Now, if you're doing aerials, anything with your foot, longboarding, stepping, whatever you're doing, you want to face your GoPro down, like such, so you can see your feet and see what you're doing with your feet, which will look super sick. That's most of what I have to cover. If there's anything I missed, please let me know in the comments. And if you have any more questions, just ask away.